Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon, and this is Indy Comics Explained. And yet again, I brought on another fantastic group of guests to talk about comics. You know, what else are we here for? Now, strangely enough, I was going to go on a rant about something that happened to me online. Somebody said something to me, and I got all emotional. And you know what? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to beat up on that person. They don't deserve it. I just want them to do better. That's all. But anyway, before I get to that, before I get to my guest, please share out the show, hit subscribe. But I wanted to pop out a good friend of mine, Damien. I got his toy Realmer X. I got some of his books. Like that. He sent me a bunch of stuff. He sent me a bunch of cards and bookmarks, awesome stuff. He sent me some prints. These things are awesome. You know. Now, Damien, you know, is usually on the show. I didn't have him come on today because I didn't want to embarrass him by showing off all this stuff. I have more of his comics. You know, I have his omnibus, which is awesome. I mean, look at that. Send me that. It's through his Indiegogo. I don't know if it's live anymore, but I'm pretty sure you can order these directly from Damien. Really nice book. He sent me one. Sketch cover with no sketch. What the F, Damien? That's all I have to say. What the F? But anyway, he also sent me an awesome T-shirt. Looks great. I will wear that with pride at a future show. All right. And without further ado, so yeah, that's Damien Waldron. Waldbrun. Jesus Christ, I always mispronounce his name. Go check out his stuff. He does great things. Without further ado, here's our co-host.
What's up, folks? How's everybody doing today? I do great stings too. Thank you. You've never shown any of my books off. Thanks, JD. Thanks.
I've shown your books off before. Come on.
What I mean? I got feelings too, man. I got feelings.
You do?
Sometimes.
Okay, yeah. I mean, because I could have sworn we. Yeah. I could have sworn.
Everybody. My name is JD Rosario. You can find me under J the Unstoppable on Instagram. I've been publishing comic books since 2008 independently, coming up with titles such as This Bad Guy Behind Me, Shield of the Interceptor, New York versus the World, The Storm Chasers, a few other things here and there.
Nice. Now, but just one more thing. I could have sworn we boiled it down that the only emotion you have left is hate.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
Trying.
All right. It may be love for your fiance. That's it.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So we'll keep it there because I don't want to get you in trouble.
Thanks, Dad.
All right. You're welcome. There you go.
Thanks, Dad.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, everybody. I'm Randy Zimmerman, a longtime alternative and independent comics producer, publisher, creator, Arrow Comics, Weeby Comics, Massive Comics, Flint Comics, all sorts of comics over the years. I've been printing comics since 1985. So, yeah. Woohoo.
Nice.
And I have always been in the alternative and independent markets and have done just about everything in the direct market that you can imagine. Coordinated conventions, ran retail shops, a number of retail shops for other owners, and just had my own newspaper for about a decade that I circulated locally because I didn't want to put up with Diamond, called Flint Comics and Entertainment. Now I'm doing Arrow Comics 4.0 this time. We're printing such books as Hero Bot Zero and Only Death Can Save Us by the great Russ Leach, and a few other titles as well. And I just want to put a downer on the start, right at the start of the show, and tell everybody to give thoughts and prayers to Luke Stone, who does hybrids, as he is still in the hospital, still under a respirator, and we hope and pray that he gets better and gets better soon.
Yes.
He does hybrids as well. And we miss you, buddy. We can't wait for you to come back.
Yep. All right, so I just want to show these real quick from Nita. And here's one for you, JD.
I hope somebody makes money. Good on you, baby. Make that money. Xerox the shit out of them.
Here's Mr. Joe. What's up, Joe? Please introduce yourself.
I am the MIA JD of the JD Continuum. I'm Joe D. McPhee, president of CBC Studios, creator of Amazonia, AWF, and Primetime Saturday Night, and host of From the Death of a Small Press Publisher on YouTube.
Nice. Oh, okay. Our other guest, I guess he's just having technical issues. He'll be back in a moment. All right, so gentlemen, let's get to it.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Why were you upset? Why did you get emotional early?
Oh no, this wasn't. This was probably a week ago, thankfully. So you give me enough time to calm down. This person feels that I shouldn't associate with certain people in certain groups, and I'm like, I've known these people longer than they've been part of these organizations, and I know they're good people, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever these organizations may be, you understand? I mean, the local fishing community is crazy out here, right? Mm-hmm. So but without further, here's our other guest, Mr. Carlos.
Hello, how you guys doing?
We're good. Introduce yourself, please.
My name is Carlos Raphael. I am the publisher of Champion Comics, and we have a lot of titles: Team Supremacist, New Remarkables, American Revere. Also have Coalition Comics, the Power Company. So there's a lot of reading for all walks of life, and it's great to be here again.
Nice. All right, cool. Let me come back. I just wanted to show off. It's fantastic.
He has love for you.
That's fantastic comic book. Yeah, I always have it. I always have it near in hand at all times. Right. This is a great book. I'm gonna do a reading. Yes, just we can start. It's a dark and stormy night. I'm only joking. All right, but let's move on.
Yes.
A dramatic reading.
A dramatic reading.
Chapter 1 from the book of Ecclesiastes.
The night was so.
the night was moist.
Yes.
Yeah, I got nothing for it.
Says it was moist and gray. All right, so gentlemen, I got a few questions here about campaigning, alternate covers, that sort of thing. So this first question is: are alternate covers good or bad for campaigns? And like, what have been your experiences, if any, with them? We'll start with you, Mr. Rosario.
I'm indifferent. I don't care whether they are good or bad, as long as they're making money. You can charge a premium for an alternate cover if it's a high-end artist. You've got your A, B. Maybe some people want the story. Maybe they didn't like that cover. Maybe some people like both covers. Helps you out. And then you can also offer exclusivity. This is the cover that's only available for the crowdfunding campaign, and this is the cover that's going to be out there on regular store shelves and conventions and stuff like that. So it provides a call to action for people to get up on your crowdfunding, at least in my opinion.
All right, cool. Mr. Randy, you did a crowdfunder with multiple covers. How'd that work out for you?
I did a flip book because I got so many covers in, and I didn't want to do a barrage of alternate covers. So I just did two different versions with two different cover sets on it as a flip book. One by Daphne Lage and Russ Leach off of his Only Death Can Save Us book, and then one by Kirk Jarvin and Jason Moore and Chris Hull, which was a old Aero Comics character, Retro Ram, and Chris Skell, who had an awesome cover I wanted to print originally. But the main reason I did that, I didn't want to do 4 different alternative covers to, barrage the market. And I thought a flip book was more fun. We had so many great stories that we just ran 70 pages in on one side, 70 pages in on the other side. And it just turned out to be better that way. And I did sell quite a few copies of both A and B covers to folks, but it really, I really didn't do it as a sales gimmick. I did it because I had 4 phenomenal pieces of artwork, and I didn't want to do 4 individual books, so I did 2.
Sounds good, Mr.
But yeah, there are, to go back to your question, and I'm sorry to cut in. There are pluses and minuses to doing alternative covers. Everybody has to decide for themselves on their own campaign. Back when we were doing Dead World for Arrow Comics back in the 80s, we had to do 2 covers because after we did the second cover that had it on Dead World, that had a zombie with that was open from the chest cavity down. We had so many retailers complain that we were giving them gory covers, and their parents, the kids' parents, were freaking out at it. That we started offering a gory and a tame cover, and that was as far back as 1986.
That's interesting. Now, did you find when you got those POs, did you get 2 separate POs for each cover?
Yeah,
like 1 for each cover.
Yep.
Now, when you guys were looking at those numbers, which one was doing better? Or were they doing around the same thing?
Oh, the gory cover was always higher. The tame cover was always very artistic, because Vince Locke was doing the covers. And because he had that opportunity that he could go tame and artistic or gory, no holds barred, and the retailers knew about it, they could put a lot of them took a backing board and cut the top off of it so that you could see the logo and stuck it on the shelves anyway, the ones that did put us on the shelves. So that's back when they actually bought comics to put on, alternative independent comics to put on the shelf.
Put on the rack.
The gory covers always went better, and because he was able to do all of that gore, he caught the attention of a lot of the hardcore gore fans. Like, for example, he's done the covers for Cannibal Corpse ever since. Yeah, ever since then, every Cannibal Corpse cover is by him. So, yeah,
nice. All right, cool. Now, just out of curiosity, are we talking about like a 20% higher, 30%, 40%?
It was more closer to 50 on some issues. The gore cover was 50% higher than the tame cover. The tame covers we knew were always going to be rarer.
Okay.
You know, and there was like somebody looking in the mirror, a picture of an apple on a table. You know, we let Vince be as artistic as he pleased on that. And he kicked out some really beautiful, pieces of artwork.
All right, cool. That's interesting. Mr. Carlos?
For me, it's life's blood. So it's the first one that we did. There wasn't that many, and so we barely crossed the finish line. Then once we started doing the variant covers, and then especially homage variants, those things that. They've sold so much for me. So especially this last one, the Amazing Spider-Man 129 homage variant did extremely well for us. So though I'm dialing it back, I had 10 variants for this last one, which was even way too many. So this next one, which launches at the end of this month, it's only half that. There's 5 variants, and I've already debuted 3 of them on my Facebook page. So, and people are already getting excited about it, saying this is what they want. So, they're absolutely critical for crowdfunding. It seems to be like what people look for in crowdfunding is the variant covers, and the majority of those are exclusive to the campaign. So like out of the 10 for New Remarkables #1, only 2 of those are going to actually be made available to the general public when we go with the distributorship. The rest of them are going to end up being Kickstarter exclusives. Nice. So people like that.
All right, cool. Mr. Joe. How do you do with the alternative covers?
It depends. It depends on the actual marketing for that book, to be quite honest here, because I mean, you're focusing the question mainly on crowdfunding. It's been more or less a hit or miss with me.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason it's a hit or miss is because it's really was more based upon the fan base for the certain artists that I get to do those alternate covers, more so than the graphics that's actually being put out there, more so than anything else. But the major thing is that they do sell. Alternate covers do sell, especially if there is a fan base for that artist here, and that's the key thing. Because when you do alternate covers, for yourself, or if you're the main artist on it, sometimes it may not be the best thing unless you're saying that this is exclusive only towards that campaign or towards this particular entity, whether it be like a retailer specific or Kickstarter specific. But beyond that, it is what it is. It's really a hit or miss one way or the other. It just, you roll the dice with a marketing type tool.
All right, cool. All right, I see Randy brought something up. I'm gonna pull that up in a minute, but I want to put these up first. All right. Cool. This is from Nita. She says, "I get told all the time who I should play with online. I love online babysitters." or who I shouldn't, rather.
Mm-hmm.
And then neither, as long as they sell. But I better see some interior art, or I won't back shit. Nothing nastier than a dope ass cover and shit interiors. This is true.
Yep.
And then from Daphne, and this goes in with Randy's pulling up. Wait, parents were complaining of a gory cover on a gory comic, and they were buying for their kids. So,
this was right at the start of the gore books, I would say, the really hardcore gore comics of the 80s.
right.
So that was the cover for Dead World #2. This was the cover for Dead World #1. And you see that was pretty tame. Just has a guy from the neck up with maybe a couple of teeth missing, a little bit of skin gone. But he went out to the wall on the issue 2 cover, freaked a lot of parents out, got a lot of retailer reaction. Let's put it that way. So
for mature audiences, right there on the cover. So why are they freaking out?
Right.
Well, this was way back when.
Yeah, this is in the 80s. So
Yeah.
So in order to appease that, they started offering a tame and a gory cover. Or I should say we started. I was art director at the time that this was all happening.
Was this 83, 84?
This was more like 86.
86, okay. All right, cool. I mean, I don't know.
I used to pick that book up, and it was Vince Locke's work still being banned to this day. So I'm sure it started back then, and it continues to this day. But I love his work.
Nah,
He's iconic.
Anyone who's banning that should be ashamed of themselves.
Well, when Arrow come back in a second incarnation, Ralph and Stewart did a book called The Dead that I think Jason Moore, Jeff Lafferty did covers on, and those covers were stopped at the border. Those didn't make it into Canada. So,
really?
Yeah, they took one look and said no.
Wow. That's
because
crazy.
they were that gory. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, Mr. Rosario, you got a question for the panel?
What? Me?
You?
You.
Yeah,
sir.
I got
Questions you must ask.
So a few weeks ago, we had a podcast. What is this? Is this a podcast? Is this a video cast? Is it a?
This is called a live stream.
A live stream. There you go.
Okay. So we had a live stream, and there was a very young initiate here on the show with us, and they hadn't published anything yet, and they were very confident in what their capabilities were. But those of us who've been around the block knew that he was going to be in for a rough ride. I hope things are going well for him. But I kind of feel like we missed on an opportunity of maybe educating him on some things, but in a decent way. Do you think, as publishing veterans who've been around the block, it is our place to help those coming into the community, and help them from getting fleeced, and help them on their road to credibility or not? Should we just leave them to dance in the wind?
To the wolves. I guess Randy, you're up.
It all depends upon the person and whether or not they're open to take advice.
Okay.
Because you have a lot of people that come into the market thinking that they know everything there is to know about the market, and you can't tell them anything.
Right.
It's just like anybody who's set in their political ways. You're not going to persuade them. They've always got an answer to the opposite or to what they believe. They believe what they believe, and there's no swaying them from it. So
Right.
you have to sit back, and believe me, it's happened to me a number of times where you go, there's a brick wall. You're going to run straight into it. And they go, no, I'm not. I'm going to run right like Wile E. Coyote. That's not a painted side of a mountain. That's actually a tunnel. I'm going in. And you watch them hit that wall. And they have to learn on their own. Other people out there go, oh, really? And they learn from other people's mistakes. That's part of the fun of doing podcasts like this, is to tell people, hey, this is what we found out works, and to try to help people that want to listen.
Right.
And that's not everybody out there. It just isn't. So you can't, there's some people you can't stop, you know. You just have to go and grab the popcorn.
Right.
Watch it happen.
Carlos, how do you feel about it?
If somebody wants to listen, then I'm always open to it. I just did a live stream podcast, whatever you want to call them. That was about 2 weeks ago with one of my former partners as far as publishing, and because they just did a series, so they started it basically offering advice on publishing indie comics, and I was part of one of the panels, and that was what it was all about. So we were there to impart our knowledge on whoever's wanting to listen. So, and I know from listening to Randy's podcast, they do a great job at doing that. They're when you listen to his, like the Sunday Funnies or the Indie Volt, they're constantly imparting knowledge.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. It's true. So that's just the thing. So there's always people there that are commenting and into it. And same thing. It's if they're into listening and taking the advice, and I'm always open, because I'm constantly getting barraged in my DMs and my private messages about people asking me about how to break in and what they need to do. And I've never said, go away, kid, you bother me. I'm always open to answering people's questions.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Mr. Joe, how do you feel about it?
Well, I'm going to agree and disagree at the same time. If JD asked me that question straight up, my immediate answer would be no. I'm not obligated to help anybody per se. But one of the things that I learned from Randy is to watch and see. Because if a person is serious enough, they will ask you that right question, which piques your interest to help them. And that's a lot of times, it's like everybody that, at least recently, everybody's up here trying to create all these different comics and everything, think that got that winning formula, and you see the writing on the wall. It's like they're not going to make it. But every so often, you have those few people that will come and ask, it's like, hey, how do you deal with this? And you'd be like, hey, he's no slouch. He's thinking about this way ahead of time. Now let me go ahead and help this individual here. So pretty much, that's really my answer. It's like, no, I'm not in any obligation to help anybody, but at the same time, if you see it, that the person is serious and they're doing those actions that prove that they are worthy of that information, go ahead and help them. Get them further. You may never know. You might learn something from them.
And the cool thing about this the streaming, podcasting, again, whatever you wanted to call it, is that there's so many people out there that are willing to offer that information. And the key to that is to just take your time and wade through all of that information and figure out what's going to work for you. I keep referring back to Brian Polito. He's got a great, almost an hour-long lecture that he posted a couple months ago about what he did for Coffin Comics that made him money. And he constantly was saying, this worked for me, might not work for you. This is the type of book that I do. This might not be the type of book you do, but this is what I did. And this is what generated what, and this is how it worked. And this is how we keep it going. That's invaluable to somebody who wants to listen. That's the whole key.
Daphne says, I'll talk to anyone who asks for info, but I'm not chasing ain't shit wannabes who are determined to make their mistakes the hard way.
Yeah.
You can't save them all. This is true. I'm pretty much of the same mindset. I'm willing to talk to anybody. I'm willing to have anybody on the show. You guys know I'll invite, if you're doing a book, you want to come on and you want to talk comics, you're welcome to come on. You understand? I don't discriminate. I don't ask you how many years you've been in the business. If you're making a book and you want to come on, you want to be genuine, you just want to talk, that's fine. You can just come on in and we can talk. Now, whether or not you get anything from that's that's on you, But I'm willing to help, But if you don't heed my advice, I don't get offended by those sorts of things. I got my own stuff to do. I don't worry about what you're doing.
And a lot of us are so passionate about this business, this industry, that if you ask us the right question, we're not going to shut up until you get the answer anyway.
True.
So you just let us run.
How you doing, Meredith?
Hey, Meredith.
Hey, Meredith.
Hello.
So, Mr. Rosario, how do you answer your own question?
I'm with you guys on a lot of stuff. I'm also worried about the ones that are going to be taken by wolves. Because they don't know. They're here and they're listening to people who've maybe done one, maybe two books. Those think they know it all, and here these new people come in and they start quoting those people, and it's just like.
Now, just out of curiosity, which wolves are you most concerned about? Because they're the wolves that will give you advice and ask you to pay for it. There are wolves that will say they can promote you, and ask you to pay for it.
Yes.
And there are people who will offer you other types of services.
Yes.
Right. It could be anything. It could be editorial or all kinds of other things.
Kind of wolf, you know what I mean? Wolves have all
exactly,
coats, bro. So
exactly.
All of them, you know what I mean? It's all of them. I've always used this line with you guys a lot, and it's those who mind the miners are the ones that make the money, and and you want them to avoid that, but like you guys also said, you want them to. They're talking shit. Excuse me. If they're boasting about their own abilities, well then, you're gonna crash into the surf, man, and I'm gonna watch it happen. Just let it go. But then at the same time, it's like I've got a lot of shit on my plate too, so I'm not gonna reach out and tell you, hold it right there, son. So it's like I'm all over the place, with something.
Anybody coming in has got to be careful. Don't trust one source. Don't ever trust one source.
Exactly.
Go out there and do your research and figure it out.
And in the end, you're not going to know until you do it. Right?
Well, there's no magic formula.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's what's going to work for you.
Right. What works for me is not necessarily going to work for Carlos or Joe. Right. You understand? What works for them is not necessarily going to work for me.
That's the thing. You know what I mean? And it's like, they come in and somebody throws them the standard rich and famous contract, and their eyes get all glossed over, and they go for it. Like, ooh, what is
that reminds me. That reminds me, is anybody can get fleeced, even Marvel and DC veterans can, because look, I hedged to bring the name up, but I'm gonna anyway. Action Lab. Look at the controversy going on with them. They got they got they got
explain. I don't
oh so they got hot there for a minute, and then they started signing all of these.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
and then they got hot, and then all of a sudden they started signing all of these indie creators, and then now they went. The controversy was they weren't getting paid. They signed deals where it was supposed to be digital first and then physical, but they weren't getting the ledgers for payment on what they were doing with digital, or
Really?
they were supposed to do both digital and physical, and all they did was release it digitally. And so there was a huge mess, and now there's a new guy in there, and a lot of these creators are getting their rights back. Like Midnight Tiger, I think Ray Height is his name. He's a Marvel comics artist. He just posted that he got his rights to Midnight Tiger back, and then there's been a bunch of creators. So
did he have to fight for it, or was it just?
There were fighting. There was several creators who were fighting for it and were going on different channels telling people, hey, Action Labs isn't on the up and up anymore.
Wow.
And so all of a sudden, Bleeding Cool ran with that. And then all of a sudden, a few days later, these guys started getting their rights back after they had been barking for months about, hey, please give me the rights back or keep your end of the bargain. And so these are guys who are in the industry and who had successful crowdfunders who said, okay, I'm going to sign with these guys. And then they ended up getting fleeced.
They still
So it can still happen. It can happen to anyone at any place.
Right. Right.
Yeah, there you go. So, warning out to everybody, right? So I mean, like I said, I'm on this variant cover kick. So here's one for all of you. Like, what would you consider a reasonable cost for an alternative cover, right? And then I don't necessarily need a dollar amount, right? Because I'm also looking for a reasonable return on that cover. Like how much, like what's the cost, you understand, to affect ratio on that. You understand? And then there's a part 2 to this question, right? Should the artist that you commission help you to promote, because most of these are for campaigns, that's primarily what I'm talking about. So should that artist help pop your campaign? Right? So Mr. Carlos, you're up.
Man, I love your question. You're on a roll today. So it all depends for me. So I've paid upwards of $500 for the Jason Metcalf cover, for his variant, but it wasn't something where like, yeah, I'm just going to pay you that money because I don't know anything. I used him in 3 previous campaigns, and his covers all pretty much carried the campaign. So as far as money, he's got a lot of fans. So I know if I'm paying him, whatever I'm paying him, I'm going to get a return, a good return on the campaign. So it's for him. I don't mind. Plus we go back 20, almost 30 years now.
Wow.
So I know what I'm getting, and it's worth it. But on average, I usually pay probably anywhere between $80 and $100 for a cover. Just it depends who it is. But right now, I got pretty much an established art team for Champion, so I just pay them what I'm paying them regular to do my covers and pages. So I'll say, hey, are you open to doing a cover? And here's what I'm going to pay you. And usually they're like, okay, cool, let's do this. So it really depends on who's doing the art and what I think is going to be a return on it. Even though I'm really not thinking that, to me, it's more of the visual, the graphic. What am I presenting? Because really, that's what's going to sell. With all the covers, the Jason Metcalf and the Homage covers were the ones that did all the business on the last campaign, because people know that, people see that, they recognize, and it takes them back, and it's like, ooh, I know that cover, I want that one. The ones that didn't do so well were the ones that I had an image in my head, and I decided, okay, let's have an artist draw it up, and I put it out there, and some did okay, some flopped. So it just all depends on the image, it depends on the artist, and it depends on so we'll segue to the second one question, which is it's the artist. I expect it, but it doesn't always happen. It just depends on the artist. I have guys like Jason, he'll post it, he'll pin it, he'll hashtag it, and his people know that it's being done. Same thing with my other artist, Oliver, the one who did the Amazing Spider-Man Homage. He put it out there. But then I have others who I'm not going to name, who did work for me, who the only time that anyone knew that they did it was because I tagged them. Or I'll go directly on their Facebook page and tag it, right, because otherwise they're not doing anything. And see, that's a thing that doesn't happen in Indy. That's something that happens that I'm not too proud of, is the fact that there's a lot of indie artists that don't push their work that they do for people. I think it's essential, not just for the person who hired you, but for you to get your name out there. But there's a lot of them who don't, and where you see a lot of the mainstream guys on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, as soon as they're allowed to post something, they're posting pages and posting pinups and posting their work, which is how it should be. But I don't know. There's just some guys that are, I don't know if the word scared to post their stuff, but it can be frustrating. But yes, I personally expect an artist that I work with to promote the work they do for me. Because the more successful I am, even in my campaigns, the more the opportunity is going to be for me to rehire them to do more work.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. Joe, how you feel about that?
You might not like my answer to this question, because I'm going to answer both questions with one simple word. It depends on the contract. And the reason I have to say it depends on the contract, because I look at where the artist is at and what rights you're actually purchasing from that artist to deal with that artwork. For example, and I hate to use this as an example, but it's a great example to use here. The Greg Corn AWF number 3.
Okay.
If I told you the price tag on that, you would flip. But with that price tag, I have 100% rights to that image. He cannot do anything with it. He cannot promote it. He cannot do anything of that nature to selling the prints or anything to that. I can make toilet paper out of it, just to wipe my ass. That's my prerogative. He was paid for everything. However, there's other artists that I paid to do variant covers, and I extended the rights for them to use to promote their works and everything, but they just cannot reproduce it in art prints. They can use it for portfolios. They can say that they did it. They can say that they have worked on the series and everything. And if need be, I may ask them to promote their campaigns and whatnot. I don't expect them to, but I probably would ask. Sometimes I have to specifically state that in the contract that they have to. But I normally don't, because 9 times out of 10, when I extend the other courtesy, they would be like, sure, I'll go ahead and promote and say something out there on social media about it. Because it's an even exchange. But when you 100% flat out buy 100% rights to something, no, you do not expect that artist to do anything else for you. That image is yours. You can do whatever you want with it. Period.
Okay. It's an interesting perspective, Mr. Joe. Okay. I like it. We'll go to Randy. How do you feel about it?
Well, again, I just like what Carlos and Joe said, it's whatever you agree with the artist. Everybody's different out there. Everybody who does art works differently, and you should know before you get a cover from somebody how they are going to promote it or not promote it for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you should have all that as an understanding. Just look around and see what other works they've done and how that's landed, how that's worked out. But sometimes you just want somebody on a cover because you love their work.
Mm-hmm.
So you put them on the cover and then you run with it. And what they do is secondary. But if you want to be out there and promote, you need to know what the artist is going to do for you before you put the image out or before you put the money on their table. You know, you should always know.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's cool. Hold on, let me put this up before Mr. Rosario can answer. From Nita, I don't think an artist is obligated to promo, but I think it speaks highly of their character to help out. Yeah. I found that many take the check and walk, which is true. You know. So, Mr. J, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm going back to what John Celestri said a few weeks ago. You know, for some artists, it's just a job. You know what I mean? Just finish the piece, and that's it. I'm done. I'm not saying, you know, it's like the George Foreman grill, set it and forget it. But they finish this, and they move on to the next one. Unless you have something in the contract, and maybe some of them may want a couple extra shekels for promoting it on a continual basis. If it's, you know, hey, look, I did this piece. If you want this piece, get it on the Kickstarter. You know, that's an easy one-off thing. But if you want them to, you know, every week, they're saying 2 or 3 things about it, well, that comes with some dough. If you're willing to pay that dough, okay. You know, other than that, it's what it is. It's on your own. It's your project. It's your baby. It's your place to do what you got to do.
Gotcha. All right, cool.
And I think there's a difference between the wording of expectation, which is what I used, and obligation. I would expect them to do it, but then there's artists that I paid who I know are really not going. The bigger names that I have who have done covers, it's job for them. I don't expect them. I expect them, maybe if I'm lucky, they'll do a hashtag of it, but otherwise my expectation is for the guys who are coming up that I'm working with, that they might want to get it out there, but it's never no one's ever obligated unless they're under contract like Joe has. So there's a difference between the wording, expectation and obligation.
Yeah, that's really cool, because going back to the first half of the question, right, is like how much you pay versus how much you're going to earn, right? Like my expectation is, you know, would doubling your money on a cover be effective? You understand? Quadrupling it, making 5 times as much, right? You know, I could pay an artist, let's say $200 for a cover before coloring. This is just pen and ink, right? And then should I expect to make $1,000 on that cover? Right?
Good luck.
Right.
It depends on how you break down. It depends on how you break down that cover, because when you say that, I don't know if the first thing that came to my mind is like, wait a second, how are you breaking down this cover? Because if you're looking at it from book to book, it's like you're selling the whole book.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're making, prints, keychains, and everything from that image, that's a completely separate story. And now that part of the question comes into play. Can I make $1,000 off of that cover, as opposed to, am I selling X amount of books based upon that cover?
Well, with crowdfunding, it gives you with Kickstarter, that gives you the breakdown. So you can always just go back and look and see. Oh, okay, so the Metcalf cover is making me $2,000 already.
But that's the total book, not just the cover itself. That's the point that I was making. Because when you do a print, that print by itself is making you money, and that has a higher ROI, depending on where you set your price point at, as opposed to the book itself. And when you look at that return on investment for that $200, $300, $400 for that cover, you have to take that in consideration.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, this is true. Not everybody plans to do, like, I don't ever offer prints on mine because the shipping on them is just ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Yep. I got hit with that. That devastated my first campaign. So offering prints was one of the worst mistakes I ever did. So because of the shipping that is involved, because you're paying not just for the print but for the shipping, and then at that point it just wasn't worth it. So yeah, prints, and I don't even do, because prints don't really sell at cons either. So at least in my opinion, prints that's pretty much worthless from my experience.
Prints are for the artists who are out there doing mashups and unlicensed material. And I'm gonna get people coming after me for this, because I'm on the other side of that boat. You can make prints, but then you got people doing prints out there for things that they've never worked on because it's the hot piece right now. For crowdfunding, prints, people don't buy it on. They don't.
Yeah, not for indie characters for the most part. I mean, you might have one or two dedicated fans that'll go for it, but it's rare that you can get a big crowd going after it. Now, here's a part two to this, well, or like a part C. So let's say you have a very successful campaign and you use this cover, and the cover has made you 10 times what you've paid for it. However it happened, whether it's through selling books, virgin covers, foil covers, virgin foil covers, you name it, glow in the dark trading cards, whatever, right? At what point do you consider kicking back to the artist? You say, okay, you know what? I made X amount. I made a ton of cash on this. At what point do you say, all right, let me kick back a little bit back to the artist? And how much? Would you give 5%, 10%? What are your thoughts on that? Let's start with Mr. Rosario on that one.
At what point do you start kicking back? When you start feeling guilty.
I don't feel guilt though.
At what point? I don't know, because I've never come to that point where I've made that much dough. $10,000.
Listen, we're all creatives here, so please use your creative imagination to picture that scenario in your head.
But I do want to say, fair use. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, you commission this artist to do this piece of work for this property, but now you want to throw it on a T-shirt because it moves well. Well, you know what? You got to kick back. There's fair use out of that, whether it's a percentage or another flat fee of what you paid that artist the first time for doing it. It's the morally just thing to do, right? And then you do that for everything else. So if you're doing it on, the shirt, on a print, on a button, whatever you're charging for,
Right.
do that.
All right, cool. All right, let's jump over to Joe because I think he has strong opinions about this one.
When he said that, the first thing that came to my mind is like, what type of contract did you have with this artist, and why are you thinking about a kickback at that point? That would not be the type of kickback that I would be thinking about at that point. Because when you buy that image, if your contract has, if you buy the rights the way that you're supposed to buy the rights, you can do whatever you want with that image.
Okay,
that's not
fair enough. Yes.
Now, the way that I would kick back would be two different ways. I would try to set up a schedule for him where he could have the team work for me because I know his stuff sells, and then I will also extend actual books to give over to him. He doesn't even have to pay for the books. I would just send them to him. It's like, hey, when you go to the show here, here's X amount of books. If you want to sell them, you can sell them, and you make money off of that. Don't worry about sending me back anything. You're about to make money off of your own work because I know it sells. You do those type of things to help them out. Because when people see it's like, oh, you really did this? Here, could you sign it for me? And again, another opportunity to make more money if you charge for signatures and stuff. I mean, it's more along the lines of opening up that door for them to profit off of that particular book is the kickback.
Cool. We'll go with Randy. What are you thinking on that?
I totally agree with Joe. When you have whatever you have in your contract is how it goes. If you own that image, just slaughter that image as far as it'll go. Make as much money as you possibly can. If it makes a lot of money, and you're doing T-shirts, you're doing prints, you're doing buttons, you're doing whatever, milk caps or tiddlywinks or whatever, and it sells real well, then you go back to that artist. Maybe you don't argue with him or dicker with him as much as far as what his rates are, and you pay him a little extra then. But in your contract, it should already state that you, as a marketer, as a publisher, have control over that image. And most of the time, it's going to be your own independent work anyway, that you own that character that he drew that picture of. So I'm not saying, oh, hey, thanks a lot for your work for hire. Screw you. I made a ton of money off of you. I'm not saying that as much as if that guy makes you money, you're going to want to use that guy again, just like what Joe said. You're going to want to use that guy again and again. And if he comes back at you and he's $100 higher, doesn't matter.
Here you go.
Here you go. Thank you very much. Hey, in fact, I'll pay your rate and I'll give you free books, like what Joe said. You can take those, sell them, put them on eBay, do whatever. I made a lot of money off of you. That's how you thank people. You don't come back and go, well, my conscience has really been bothering me, and I made $3. Here's one. You thank them very much for holding up to that contract and for doing a kick-ass piece of work for you, and you congratulate him again by paying him to do more. And hopefully by that, once he sees how you're marketing and that your image is all over his work is everywhere, he's going to get more business besides that anyway. And that goes back to that silly, hey, do this work for exposure. No, that's not what I'm saying. Now, he did the work, he got paid for the work, you own that image, you marketed that image. And that's you doing that off of his image. You want to do that again and again and again. And you want to keep him happy. Or her happy, whoever did the work.
Right. Cool.
That's the way I would look at it.
Carlos, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so I do have I don't typically talk about my business particulars, but in this case, because when someone works for me, the contract is plain as day. It's the same one I use for everyone. I own the image, straight up. So if you're working for me, all the art I own. If you're someone that works from a board, you can keep that board. I'm not going to ask you to turn that board into me. So sometimes I'll ask if I can put that art on the as a tier, as a reward tier on the Kickstarter. But as far as demanding that they turn in anything, no. But otherwise, I own that image through and through. And the only time I ever kick in a percentage is T-shirts. So I just feel that is. I used to do it T-shirts and prints, but since prints are pretty much worthless, as I had mentioned earlier, nobody's making any money on it. So I do allow the artist to sell prints. If he wants to go to a Comic Con and sell prints of that work, by all means, you can do that. Just know that you're going to be putting copyright Champion Comics on that print. Otherwise, they can do whatever they want with it at Comic Cons. The only time I pay a certain percentage. I'm not going to say what, but if I use their image on a T-shirt, I will pay them a royalty based on per sale. But that's the only time I do that. The weird thing is you brought that up about pay a kickback. I just started that with a couple of my artists for the next Kickstarter. But again, this is something that we figured out for the contract, which Joe mentioned, is that if their image reaches certain thresholds, I'm going to pay them something above extra. So this is something that I just started, that we just put in writing for the next Kickstarter, because it did so well. Those covers, those variant covers did so well that they kind of asked, and I was like, you know what? If you can reproduce this and hit these certain markers, then yes, I will kick in a little extra. But we put it in writing, and so that everybody knows what to expect. So I hope so, because that'll be great for me, and it'll be great for them, and it motivates them to come back. But at the end of the day, to boil it all down, I own the image. So if I feel like paying them something extra, then I'll do that. But it's something that has to come from me, above and beyond the contract, unless it is in the contract, which this marker bonus was what I called it, a bonus.
Right.
So yeah, it's a good question, and at the end of the day, I own it, so it's whatever I feel like paying, if I do.
You want to make sure that artist is happy because you're happy.
Yeah.
So whatever it takes, extra copies, if he wants, hey, I just printed your image on a T-shirt. What's your size? What's your wife's size? What's your husband's size? What's your kid's size? Let me send you shirts. I love this. You're going to love it. It's phenomenal. Let me send it to you.
Yes, sir. I've
you
done
always
that.
want to keep them happy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've done the shirts.
And there's
They like that.
nothing that makes an artist happy, especially in comics, than to see his stuff all over the place in every marketable format that you can imagine. Hey, I made a bunch of bookmarks there. Let me send you a small package of a half a dozen of them for you to have.
Yep.
Where's the harm in that? There's no harm in that, and it keeps everybody happy.
Yep. The comps are always good.
Mr. Rosario, you got another question?
Yeah, since we're on this topic, who owns the NFTs? You or the artists that produce them? Hot topic right now. I don't know. I'm asking because I don't know. Who has the rights to create the NFT of a piece?
The person who bought it until their system fails.
Right.
Okay.
Oops.
I'm not in it. So, but again, to me, it comes down to contract, and the contract, it states that you own that image. So NFT is a digital image, so it doesn't matter.
Yep.
The person who contractually owns the image is the one that's going to own it. Doesn't matter if the artist did it. He doesn't own that piece. So
really, it's a contract between the buyer and the seller over a series of ones and zeros.
Right.
Mhm.
And I get what Jay's coming with this question, because it's dealing with ones and zeros. Who's to say that it's going to be a one-off? And that's the thing.
Yep.
You get a unique identifier, but it's never going to be a complete one-off. So the question here is, okay, even though he sells me what I believe is the original one, what's stopping that buyer from selling others? Because this is up on a unique identifier, he's in his contract to you. Who's to say that your contract is specifically forbidding up under the NFT, the rules of NFT, that he can't sell another one up under a different identifier to somebody else, because technically it's considered a different piece of artwork at that point.
I like Nita's answer. I paid for that shit. It's mine.
Exactly. But I like what Randy said. It's like it's ones and zeros.
Right.
And it's a contract between you and them that you're not going to do those ones and zeros ever again.
Right.
And that they will own that combination of ones and zeros that you're never going to copy. So it's up to you to keep the faith on that contract.
Yeah.
Up to the buyer and seller. As you think that paintings or comics are easy to forge, digital files are a lot easier to forge.
Yep.
So you have to trust that seller, that he's going to
Well-
do it. And the buyer is able to resell it, but
Well-
hopefully not make copies of it.
Well, as we all know, right? Here's an interesting one. So let's say I got this image behind me, and I say I'm going to sell it as an NFT, right? So I sell this as an NFT. Okay, fine. Her glow and her little gem thing right there is purple. What if I go back to my artist? I sell this for $100 as an NFT, and I go back to my artist and say, "Yo, make it blue," and then I sell the blue one, and then I go to yellow, and then I go to green. What stops me from doing that? The dragon is green. All right, make them blue. Sell them new NFT blue. Fuck it. You understand? I was like, what stops you from doing that?
It's a good question.
Right? What
Yeah.
stops me from taking a comic page that has 12 panels, 8 panels, chop that sucker up, boom, each one is a separate NFT, right? And then doing it like that, or just changing the slightest thing. And how easy is it for us to change anything, get these things changed in any number of ways? If you ever look at Boundless Comics, they have 42 covers on one book, but it's the same cover, but with something different. They're wearing different color underwear. Their underwear is missing. You understand? The top is there, the bottom's there, the bottom's not there, the top isn't there, so on and so forth. And all this different stuff, right? How hard is it for us to do that?
Right.
I mean, I think that's probably something that will have to be looked into. I think that's a real conundrum, as far as NFTs is concerned.
Well, if I ever get to the point where my NFT is worth anything, then I know that I've done something right, and I'm happy anyway. So, because right now, my NFT, if I get 5 cents for one, that's mind blowing. So I'm not at that level yet.
That's how I feel if
Gotcha.
I get my stuff bootlegged. You know what I mean? If I'm getting bootlegged, I know I made it.
Hold on. Nita puts in, she says, okay, that's where the contracts come in. Only the artist is allowed to edit regardless of ownership.
And that's the problem. And that's the problem with NFTs. What's stopping an artist from only selling just the one item
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that, like I said, that was my whole point with changing each portion of this image into different colors. You just keep changing it. You're like, okay, let's, like I said, I can make the dragon blue, I can make the dragon yellow, I can make the dragon red, and sell each separate one as a separate NFT, right?
And go
It's
for
different.
company, go from publishing company to going from publishing company to publishing company to publishing company, selling covers exactly that way. And then the publishing company is like, here, look at my. Wait a second, why does Devils do have the same cover I do?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But hey, if you own the image and you're making money off of it, then God bless you.
We did have a creator on Indie Volt one time that sold the same comic book to 3 different publishers. They went through and published it at 3 different sections, 3 different parts of the country.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy had a nice scam running.
And we were debating the ethics on that.
Right.
There is an ethic to debate.
Who
Pardon?
was it? Who bought it?
That
No, I couldn't tell you the fine details. I think there was one in the New England area, one in Texas, and one in California that all bought the books, and they didn't know about each other, I think, until they solicited Indictment.
Nice.
Or they started bumping into each other in conventions. The guy says, yeah, so what? There's nothing in the contract for it.
Ha, nice. He was like, I never said it was exclusive to you, buddy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. All right, look, before I move on to my next question, I want to ask everyone, is there does anybody have a question they want to throw up? No? Okay.
Probably, but not put on the spot.
Okay. So think about it. I'll ask my next question, and then we'll unless you got something, Jay.
No, I'm good. I asked my 2. That's it. Wow.
Oh, okay. Well, this is going to be a 3. Think of a third word.
I'm prepared for that, bro.
I'll be right back. I got to put the cat back upstairs.
Okay. Damn cats. Gotta love them. Here's one for you. Now, when we're all creators. As a creator, do you prefer to have partners or employees? Because there's a huge distinction between the two, right? Ooh. I've worked with both, right? I have a partner and I have my employees, right? So, we'll start with Mr. J. What do you prefer? Do you prefer partners or do you prefer employees?
Neither one, dude. You're my collaborator.
Actually, whoa, Jay, stop. Stop.
Either one, dude.
Stop. No. Because I meant to start with Joe.
Oh, you said sorry. Jay. You didn't say Joe.
No, I did. My mistake.
No,
I did. You're right.
He dropped the ball.
I dropped the ball on that. That's my fault. That's my fault.
Kid. Listen, go get the missus. The missus is not hosting the show, not you, kid. All right, so if you want, go to Joe.
No, you started.
No. Go ahead, finish. I'll go with Joe next. Go ahead.
You started.
I don't have employees. You know what I mean? I'm not an S corp.
No. But also, when I say employees, I mean, outside contractors. You understand? Work for hire.
Do I hire freelancers?
Do you right? Do you prefer a partner or freelancers? If it makes it easier for you, that's ultimately what I meant.
No partners. You know what I mean? It's all what's going on.
Now, why is that? Why is that? Why don't you want a partner? You hurt my feelings. Go ahead.
Because when there's too many chefs in the kitchen, shit goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's simple, man. That's simple, brother.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's like when you got a partner, you got a partner or partners, right? You got to choose which hill you want to die on. You know, which fight is worth fighting. And then, if you give up or if you lose within the power struggle, right? I'm trying to get your decision across, and it fails, then you're left out there in the lurch. So I'd rather control my own destiny.
Okay, all right, that's fair enough. Like I said, we're gonna move over to Joe. So
And
do you prefer hiring, or do you prefer to have a partner?
it's always hiring.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, when you look at partnership, you have to divvy up who owns what and who has control over what. And
Mm-hmm.
you'd be surprised of some of the unique discussions that could come out of stupid little stuff like, "Oh, I told you to add this type of eyebrow on this character, therefore I want 50% of that character." It's like, no, that's just
Mm-hmm.
a suggestion. That does not make or break the character.
Yep.
You don't get this, that, and the other because of that. And with partnerships, it's always going to be a struggle. Somebody's going to make a decision that you don't like or without consulting you. And that could mess up something that you're working on as far as a bigger overarching deal to get your books and stuff further. It's always best to work with contractors or work for hire because that way the onus on getting it out there further is on the person who owns the overall character IP, the company that's publishing it. That's on them.
Mm-hmm. All right. Carlos, how do you feel about it?
I love the question because I live both worlds. So
Mm-hmm.
with this Champion Comics, I own everything. So I answer to myself every storyline, everything that goes out, the amount of issues that I want printed, who I hire. That's on me, and I enjoy that. Uh, my significant other likes to say it's like you hire people, you're an employer. Yes, I am, and I employ people putting out thousands of dollars to get this done. On the other hand, I am part of Coalition Comics, and that's a partnership. I have 7 partners that I have to deal with every day, and we've been going at it for 5 years now. We've lost partners. I've had to deal with the fuck off uh, moments. But it all works. We're now going on issue number 4. We've been very successful with this book. So, but there's times when, man, this is the difference between the two. Is like I'll come up with a story, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like for Champion, I come up with that story. I can implement it any way I want at any point. With Coalition Comics, I come up with an idea. It's like I either have to wait my turn because we rotate, the partners rotate storylines. So every couple issues, every arc, another couple partners or 3 partners get to work on an arc. So I'm either going to have to work on the arc, or I'm going to have to try and hit up my partner and say, "Hey, I got this idea.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way we could implement that?"
Right.
Or can you give me 4 to 6 pages at the end of this to get it done? Plus, with them finances, we all share in it. We share in the split, so there's just a whole lot of other responsibilities that go into having a partnership. But I do it because I love it. And we've been again. This is our 5th anniversary, so we've been at it for a while. But again, there's not the autonomy of working with just Champion, where it's me and then I hire everybody else to make sure that comes to life. Whereas with Coalition Comics, we have to have a meeting, and then we have our votes, and then we throw something out. And not every time does my idea win. Most of the time, my idea will not have enough votes, and I just have to grin and bear it, and we move on. So yeah, I get to dive into both worlds with that.
All right. Cool. Randy, how are you feeling about it?
Well, I did my first book was an anthology that I was in with a partner, Tales from the Aniverse, and quickly learned that oil and vinegar don't mix very well. So I write my own stuff. I control my IPs. I hire people to work on it. Sometimes if I'll work with a collaborator, and I'll give them a percentage because I know their work, their look, their style is influencing the property, but I will have some final say. I'll be able to control the dialogue, the everything about the property. All comes back down onto me, because usually I'm the one who created it first, and they've come in afterwards, and they're following my direction.
So with Arrow 4.0, you are the top dog. You're the soul.
That does not hold true. I am the top dog over my IPs. Arrow itself, Arrow Comics, is a strict creator-owned company. Mm-hmm. Russ comes in with Only Death Can Save Us. That's Russ's book. I got nothing to say about that book. Russ does the book. I help promote the book. I print it as an Arrow comic, and I take a very small percentage for the company. Everything else goes back to Russ. Same thing with Hybrids. That is Luke's book. I come into Hybrids, there's 10 issues done. Mm-hmm. So, that is Luke's baby. That's his creator. He owns that property. All I do is print that book, take a small percentage.
Mm-hmm. How's he doing? I missed it when I know it sounded like you brought it up before I had to bail out. How's Luke doing?
Yeah, sorry. He's still on a respirator in Florida. So he's not, we're hoping and we're literally praying for the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was on I think he was one of the guests on the one that I did with you guys, the first one. So, and I backed I just got not that long ago, his rewards from the campaign I backed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So hopefully he'll pull through.
Yeah, we are sincerely hoping in that direction. I haven't talked to Beth personally, but Varian and Krista have talked to her a couple of times and have touched base with her. So again, we're just really hoping for the best, that there's a positive outcome in this. We're really hoping for that.
I hope so too, because I just lost one of my previous artists, just passed away from COVID. That was a total shock, because I had posted some of his work and he commented on it. Mm-hmm. And then a couple days later, his uncle came on saying that he had passed away, and it's like, what? He just commented on it. And I was at the water park, so it kind of brought a downer on that whole thing. But
yeah.
But I was so blown away that 1 minute we're having a discussion, and the next minute we're discussing the fact that he's no longer with us.
Wow.
It just shows you really never know, and that things could take a turn in an instant. Especially with the way the situations have been lately. So you just have to be careful and pray everybody stays safe.
Absolutely.
Exactly. All right, hold on. Nita says, I think taking on partners, there has to be a certain level of trust, almost intimate, because you have to have the same similar standards, beliefs, and investment for things to flow smoothly. If that relationship is not secure and well established, you're destined for drama at best, total failure at worst.
Absolutely. Amen.
And I'm doing a book right now with Nita's husband. I think it's some of the best stuff either of us have done. Nice. I can't wait for people to read it. I'm just ecstatic over it. Everybody that I've shown it to has gone crazy about it. I can't wait to get it in print and get it out in front of people.
Yep. So, I mean, I know for myself, like Carlos, I'm in both. So I hire people, and I also work with my wife Daphne on Tall Tales. So we it works. I mean, I'm working with my wife, so it's like, as long as everything's good, everything's good. Though. Exactly, it is.
She's the boss. We know she's the boss. You know what I mean?
This is true. Listen, listen. I'm there to carry. She's the smart one. I'm here to carry the boxes.
But
Right.
and again, you've been working on this for so long that you've
yeah.
defined those boundaries. You know
Yes.
how to work together.
Uh, and
So, and that's so important.
Mhm. And I also have a couple of people that I work with that I hire regularly. Jade Gonzalez, Aurelio Tillis, and with Jade, I've been working with her for almost 12 years, I think. You know, so we have a very well established, what's going on. And Aurelio, I've been working with, I think, a couple of years now, and it's pretty much the same thing. So it's well established. But yeah, you just got to find those people you really enjoy working with. I've had other people in the past that I've had partnerships. And the only thing that killed those partnerships is that the books weren't selling. So the books weren't selling, we weren't making any money. So, we just walked away. I'm still very good friends with all those guys, I would love to come back and bring those guys back to do stuff. But, we're all older. Because when we did this stuff, we were like 18, 19, in some cases 16, and so there were no real responsibilities. Everybody was living with their parents and, so it was weird. It's not like today where, I mean, we all know the efforts you have to go in to draw a comic book. It takes a long time, so that's a lot of effort. It's a lot of effort, so I can't just go to somebody and say, hey, man, let's do a comic book. We'll raise, $400 or I can pay you $800 on Kickstarter. Nah, it doesn't work. If we can get it to the next level and I can say, listen, we could probably divvy up, 10, 15K at the end. That's different. But at this point, it's just hard to do that, with a partnership, when you're just splitting revenue like that, so it could be interesting. Nita says, me too, you guys are killing it. Thank you, Nita.
Oh, before the next question, I do have to address this. Nita, I did not rat you out on my live stream yesterday because I own that image as the person who bought it. This is relevant to the topic that we just had here, and I can't break my own NDA. So, if you felt that way, I apologize, but no, I did not write you out. Liar.
So, there you go. All right, cool. So Mr. J, you got another question? What's up?
No, I said we were
ready
for
the
2.
Listen, I warned you. I said 3 was coming.
2 tapped out.
I told you 3 was coming, bud.
Carlos had one. Carlos, what's up? Let's see your question.
All right,
He's passing a buck to you, buddy.
Oh wow, let's see. I may just pass it on to Randy. You got a question, Randy?
I mean, I got another one. I mean, Joe, you got anything? I'm just being, I'm just trying to be democratic.
Oh,
I got.
Why you call me a liar on that? That would be my question.
I didn't call you a liar.
No, I said my question would be, hey, Nita, why are you calling me a liar on that? That would.
Well, she's not on the panel.
Shall we pass that around the room and have us guess?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, let's take a guess. Why you're a liar?
Okay.
JD, go ahead. Why show a liar?
It has something to do with the smile. It's very disingenuous, and it just doesn't work. I'm sorry. All right, stop smiling. All right.
Okay.
So,
Randy, why show a liar, Randy?
I have no idea.
Carlos,
It might have something to do with that image back behind him there, though.
I like that image.
Carlos, why is Joe a liar?
Why is Joe a liar?
Yeah.
Because Nita said so.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. There you go.
All right. My answer's going to trump everything else, and it comes down to because Joe really does like New York pizza. He thinks Chicago is shit, but he just can't say it because of where he is. Next question, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice, because it always boils down to pizza.
Damn right.
Pizza talk, yeah.
All right, I think I've asked this. I know I've asked this damn question before, so I'm gonna ask it again anyway. What is like? Listen, what's the media or comic book or whatever you're looking forward to? What are you looking to What are you guys looking to see? Like what's coming out? What's coming up? It could be a comic book, a Kickstarter, it could be a movie, television show. What is it you guys are looking forward to like genuinely. Let's start with Mr. Rosario.
Dune. I can't wait to see that movie. I'm looking forward to it. The special effects finally caught up to the story. I loved the very first one. I believe that was Fincher's version. I couldn't get past the first 10 minutes of the sci-fi remake.
What a dry mess. Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on over there. I loved Dune. I do. I mean, when you go to Star Wars, my favorite part was the beginning in the desert stuff. The second part of the first act, I guess, the desert, right? The Tatooine stuff. So for me, Dune is it's. Oh man, I'm looking forward to it being done visually right.
Okay, cool. Hold on. Before we continue, I got something special for Joe. There you go. Because you totally schnitzed to Daphne. I had been with her all day, kept my lips sealed. There you go.
We'll talk after.
Okay. Oh, nice.
We got some backdoor drama going on.
Seriously.
No, I know something that Daphne told me after the fact. And I was like, oh, okay, everything's cool.
All right. I don't know what's going on. So, Randy, what are you looking forward to?
I'll go see Dune when it comes out to the theater. I'm really looking forward to actually next Wednesday's What If, just to see what happens. I caught myself actually marking the day off, on Wednesday, taking a little bit off in the morning and sitting down and watching each episode. I've really been enjoying it and kind of like what they're doing with it. Can't wait to see how it finishes. I was very excited to hear that there's a reboot coming for Babylon 5. They're giving Straczynski an open hand for, and probably a 5-year commitment to, considering that they've kept Batwoman on the air for as long as they have. CW can definitely commit to a 5-year-long deep science fiction story that might generate a huge viewership. That would be on a free network channel. That would be a plus, and hopefully that'll do great things for the CW. Can't wait to see that happen. And Straczynski is always in form on that property. The writing on that, as far as his other writing goes, he's always been hit or miss. But on Babylon 5, it's always been hit, one right after the other. I hope he's lucky enough to find a cast that's as good as the cast he had for the first run through, and he gets a chance to tell the story that he has always wanted to tell. So other than that, there's a few little individual things I can't wait to see, but those are the big ones. So comic book wise, there's really nothing I can think of out there. I've got a couple of campaigns I wish I could get the copies fulfilled from that I would love to read. But other than that, it's really hit or miss. And there's nothing really specifically in the market that I'm looking at now that I have to have.
All right.
But
cool.
And when I see it, I'll know it and have to have it though.
Gotcha. Well, here's one for Joe again.
Yep.
All right.
She ain't scared, Joe. She ain't scared. Right?
I know she ain't. It's like she's up here like she's like doing this to me right now, like 3 o'clock behind the gym.
That's it. All right, Carlos, let's move on with you. So, what are you looking forward to?
So I'm looking forward to this next Saturday because it's my last con that I'm doing until December. And it's a supposedly a comic book centric con. So no celebs. Because it's the same week as New York Comic Con, which is the excuse they gave. Is the celebs are in New York, so
there's only 4 celebs for the show.
Are there? Is that? No, the New York's and that's one of the top cons in the entire nation. That's surprising they would only have a few celebs. But of course.
Now, when you say celebs, do you mean like actual movie stars and TV stars?
The movie and TV.
Okay,
folks.
Not real celebs. Not Frank Miller.
No,
or Neil Gaiman.
Well, Frank isn't going to get invited to any place anytime soon. But
I don't know why.
he's one of my heroes, but he got kicked out of the one con in England recently because of his comments. Yeah, exactly.
Listen, that was what, 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
But in this climate, shit's now anything you posted 10 years ago on Twitter is coming back to haunt you now. So that's the climate that we're in at this point in time. Yeah. I'm getting nervous. I'm starting to sweat it. I'm like, man, should I go back and start looking at what I posted? Right. Did I post something that might piss somebody off?
I just want to say up front, if they go back on my Twitter feed, I was hacked at one point by some Russian dude. So it's not me.
There you go.
But yeah,
take it back though.
But I'm looking forward to the con. I'm looking forward to getting the Remarkables out and fulfilled. That's looking like the middle of this month. We're down to like 10 pages of lettering. So all the pages have been colored and drawn. So it's just a matter of getting my letterer to finish up, and then that's done. And then we'll move on to the next one. Otherwise, as far as movies, any MCU movie, it's I just saw the Shang-Chi, and that was awesome. And even though Black Widow wasn't my cup of tea, still it wasn't bad either. So, and any of the MCU, Randy mentioned the What If. That's been so hit and miss for me.
I think some of the writing's been a little goofy, but they're tying it all together real interestingly.
Yes, like the last one was awesome. Yeah, I love the Ultron one. Was so far my two favorites have been the Ultron and the Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
The other ones, again, hit and miss, the writing, and then some of the characterizations.
I thought the Doctor Strange episode was kind of fundamentally flawed because he wasn't in love with anybody but himself.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't. Yeah.
I think that the premise was a little goofy. I like what they did and what they're doing with it, but all of that stuff you have to take with a grain of salt anyway, and just. Yeah. Sometimes, as they said in The Big Chill, you just have to let art flow over you.
This is true. All right. Al Nickerson, excuse me, says, I tried getting Frank Miller on a panel that I was on a few years ago. Dark Horse told me that it would have been a whole ordeal with Miller and his security detail.
Oh, wow.
So there you go.
He's a bad man.
Oh, he's an old man. Come on. Can't even move the poor guy.
Everybody wants to touch the Sin City movie guy? Is that one?
Seriously, I mean, come on.
I think all of the threats over what he did to the Spirit movie are long gone. People have forgiven him for a lot of that stuff.
No, people have forgotten.
They've forgotten.
Yeah. It's time to move on. Yeah.
Oh my God, that was bad, man.
Yeah, that was
bad, dude.
That was bad.
Yes, it was. Yes.
Oh my God, that was. How can you have so many good people in a fucking shitty flick?
It says a lot when I'm sitting in the theater watching that thing and going, that Sam Jones TV movie wasn't that bad,
dude. I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
Serious.
And the reason he was hired is because he was supposed to be like this expert on the Spirit, and for that to happen, it's.
Yep. But thank God they didn't give him Buck Rogers. So.
Oh yeah.
This is true. Well,
and that's the bad thing. As a Spirit fan, I have it on DVD because I had to just get it because being a fan and collect.
What happened with Buck Rogers?
The Spirit one or the Sam Jones Nana Visitor?
No. I'm talking about the bad Frank Miller.
Oh, the TV movie's better. Just watch that.
Right. You can probably get that one on Blu-ray somewhere. Holy Terror causes stir. But yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, all right. I think Joe was next. What are you looking forward to, Joe?
Oh, it's just about out or is out right now. The the Sopranos prequel.
Oh yes,
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
it is out, I believe.
Mhm.
I thought it was going to be a series. It's a movie.
It's a
Well,
movie.
it's a movie at first.
Mhm.
They'll
Mhm.
see how many views they get, and then it'll probably be a series.
Yeah.
Okay.
I watched the first half of it last night.
So
Okay.
his kid sure does look a lot like him,
It does. He does.
and good on them for doing that. Because Christopher Reeves got a son that reports news on ABC nightly news, and the first minute I saw him, I was like, "That guy's Superman."
Mhm.
Right there. Get him some acting lessons. Get him in front of a camera and tell him he's Superman. And
Wow.
come to find out, it's Christopher Reeve's kid.
Nice. Mhm.
Oh wow! So he could have just.
Oh, when you see him, there's no doubt. I can probably pull up a picture of him.
Okay.
But
Mhm.
it's amazing. Just the minute I saw him, I'm like, holy crap, that guy's Superman.
Mhm.
This movie is going to bring out a lot of the history that we don't know,
Right.
and it's like from what I've been told so far, it's being told from Chrissy's father's perspective.
Mhm.
He's going to be the main focus of this movie and how he influenced Tony and how Tony became what he was. And then we get to see a lot of the other characters in their younger format, like Junior, Nicholas, and all of them.
So
Yeah.
Gandolfini's
Gandolfini started playing
is playing
his character.
That's certainly full circle because the two of them were on vacation together when he died, when he had his heart attack.
Ooh, yeah.
Wow.
And in Italy, there was the two of them on vacation when he passed away. So that's definitely a full circle thing. That's cool.
I've got a picture of Christopher Reeve's son up there if you could share. There it is.
There he is.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
His jaw is not as square, but yeah, he could pass.
That is Superman right there.
Yep.
The minute you saw, and he's on air, he looks thicker than that. He's got Christopher Reeve's old dimensions.
Mhm.
You know, everybody, all the guys that work for ABC News are all buff anyway. That's why the wife likes watching them.
Nice.
But yeah, it's just amazing. The minute I saw him, it's like, holy crap, that's Superman. Who is that?
You know, I didn't know until recently that David Prowse, or Darth Vader, David Prowse, was the one that bulked up Christopher Reeve for the Superman films.
Yeah.
He was his
Oh,
trainer.
I didn't know that. Hmm. That's interesting. Yeah. Well, he was a bodybuilder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a big career as the Green Cross man over in Britain.
Nice.
Prowse did. Yeah. It's kind of a superhero guy teaching safety.
Gotcha. Never heard of it, but I know I'm looking forward to the next season of The Boys.
Yeah.
You know, which
Of The
will
Voice,
hopefully be
the TV show with the
Boys. The Boys.
With the B.
Yes, with a B. BOYS. The Boys. Garth Ennis, sir. Garth Ennis.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm actually looking forward to the Eternals. You know, I'm interested in seeing what they do with it, because you know, everybody's estimating this is going to be their first flop. They said the same thing about Guardians of the Galaxy, right? You know, and obviously that wasn't it. So I'm interested in seeing it. You know,
I think that's the last experimental movie you're going to see from Marvel for a while, where they're taking a chance on a really mostly unknown character, because now they've got Disney streaming, Disney Plus, so they'll be trying all of those characters out there.
Yeah, because
in the theater. Yeah.
Yeah, I recently read the limited. Well, it's not limited. That's the series they're putting out, the Eternals, currently through Marvel, and it was okay. I was like, it wasn't great. It wasn't horrible. It had Thanos as the main villain, which I'm kind of like, really, you know. Again,
Marvel can't do no wrong, because they thought there was a lot of talk about the Shang-Chi being a disaster because of the anti-Asian sentiment, and it blew up. So I see Eternals, same thing. It's gonna do well, and it's just the ball keeps rolling. Kevin Feige, he knows what he's doing. So I think the ball's just gonna keep on going with the MCU.
Plus, I think it's going to be like Captain Marvel. It's going to be a movie that if you didn't see, you're going to go back and watch it again or watch it anyway, just because there's so many things that are going to bump back to it.
Exactly. There's
Yeah.
always the Easter eggs
Yeah.
in those movies.
This is true.
I hate to say it, but there is only one flop in the MCU, and that was for a movie that never came out. Because
What, the Fantastic Four?
No,
Iron Man
the
3.
Inhumans. No, the Inhumans never came out. Remember,
They made it. They did the TV show.
They made it a TV
They
series.
made a TV series,
yeah.
but originally it was
Yeah.
supposed to be a movie.
And
Which-
they crippled that property from the start and turned it into it was a TV fiasco. You can't shave Medusa. You can't shave her head and expect anybody to appreciate it. Plus, she's got complete control over her follicles. You shave her head, she grows it right back.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that had a lot to do with budget.
That. Yeah.
Yes.
They
That-
did
that
that
was
solely
for
for budget. It's stupid. Yeah.
That had to do because the fact that Ike Perlmutter, the president of Marvel, was trying to make, because they didn't have the rights to X-Men, he was trying to force feed Inhumans as their X-Men. And then by the time that movie started rolling around, they ended up getting the rights back for X-Men. So it was like, all right, let's just...
They chopped the heck out of that budget.
Exactly, they did, because it's like, okay, now we got the real thing back. We don't need these. It's just like with as soon as they got the X-Men, the rights of the movie, the Inhumans were being pushed in the comic book insanely, and then all of a sudden, they just fell right off the earth because they were no longer needed. And that's what happened. They were no longer needed. So. Yeah, and I like the Inhumans, but
I mean,
even the TV show had some nice moments. I mean, Lockjaw was awesome to see that kind of thing, but like I said, you don't shave Medusa and expect to get away with it. No.
And did the guy who was playing Black? And the thing is they only ever showed the guy who playing Black Bolt without the mask, right?
They showed him without the mask. Yeah, they showed him without the mask. And I was like, how are you going to get away with the antenna type deal? But
right,
really do that.
Didn't have it in the budget. And it's a shame too that
Gorgon,
he got
how they did Gorgon. It was obvious they didn't have a budget.
Yeah. And they really gave that actor has had some really bad acting choices. I don't remember his name, but he was in Hell on Wheels, and I liked him a lot in that.
Right, he's on the
really good
Star Trek show.
Yeah,
Anson
now
Mount.
oops, Anson Mount. He's made some, let's say, interesting career choices that haven't worked out in his favor. And sooner or later, he's going to find that role that he'll get branded with. But that's, if they'd have kept Hell on Wheels going, that would have been an amazing film or amazing series to see. They cut that out short, way too early.
All right, cool. All right, Rosario, you got another one?
Damn, no.
No.
The coat.
I'm good for two. I shot my load, bro.
That's terrible, bro. Listen, listen. We're not your wife. We need more than just two, bro.
That's below the belt there. That was below the belt.
Was it?
Literally.
Was it? Yep. All right. We'll move in this.
That was good.
Here's one. What's the last thing you saw on television or in media in general that really impressed you as an artist, or as a creator?
As a creator. Okay.
All right, Joe, you go ahead. You can go.
The last thing that I saw that impressed me as a creator was the last season of Doom Patrol.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Did you see season 3, or is it we're talking about
I
season
haven't
2?
started watching season 3, and so season 2, especially midway through the end of season 2, where they actually resolved a lot of the stuff with with Dorothy.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because they left that door wide open as far as how she's going to eventually come out as a result of that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's
Carlos,
cool.
any input?
Yeah.
The recent the Marvel Disney Plus, the Loki and the Falcon and Winter Soldier, the writing is what got me. The writing was really snappy and got me thinking about my own writing, and to me that's when I'm getting value out of things, is when I'm sitting there analyzing my own work by watching how it's coming, how the dialogue's coming off, how they use dialogue and the staging and all of that stuff. And it's I got a lot of inspiration from how that was done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm currently watching something called Midnight Mass on Netflix.
I
right?
loved it. It was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying it. I still got. I think I'm halfway. No, I think there's only 7 episodes, right? So I think I'm on. I have to watch that last episode. But yeah, but I've been enjoying it. I've enjoyed the fact that like everybody seems to know what's going on and nobody wants to admit it, or nobody says it. Right? That's the most hilarious thing I found about it. They were just like, they're like, that's but and then the way that the whole mythos of what's going on is the way the
using religion as the horror foundation.
well no. Well, I don't want to give it away. You know what I mean? I don't want to say. Right. So there's a thing that's going on with a mythological creature, and nobody wants to say that it's this. We all know what it is. You understand? You see the symptoms, you see everything that's going on, and you're like, oh, but that got to be that, right? And then eventually you find out it is, right? But and then again, still nobody's saying it got to be that, right? And then also the way it's juxtaposed with the religion and the way the pastor or the priest is mixing in these things and is turning the Bible into the direction of this thing where it's not that. And it's very, very interesting the way it's done, to see the way the human mind can twist something to be in a certain direction, even though it isn't, to try to justify something that's evil. You understand? And they know it, but they're delusional, and they're just like, so I found that very, very interesting.
Recommend it to anybody.
Yeah.
I saw the new Candyman recently.
Oh yeah.
How was that?
Wow. If you're a fan of Jordan Peele, if you liked Lovecraft Country, and certain underlying elements of society, watch Candyman. On top of that, to take what was there and utilize it, pay homage to it, but still build something new from it, which gives that first piece that much more appreciation. It's just fucking great, man. I mean, from the cinematography to the storytelling to I love hating Coleman Domingo. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II has his geek card stamped for life. I mean, the dude did, he was in Watchmen. He was Black Manta. What else was he's going to be in The Matrix? He did Candyman.
Was he the guy that played Candyman?
Yes and no.
Oh, okay.
See, that's the thing, dude. Please. If you guys liked the first Candyman,
Mhm.
Watch this.
Okay, that's cool.
Now, I do
I'm
have
definitely
a
gonna check that out.
question, and maybe you guys can help me with this. Have any of you watched the Jordan Peele version of The Twilight Zone?
Mm.
I did not.
I saw the first couple of episodes, but that was because they were free access.
Okay. I was wondering, is it worth it in the long run?
They were a little preachy, but they weren't terrible. I don't ask me what they were. I can't remember the plot to them. They weren't that memorable. And so that means that they weren't incredibly bad, but they weren't stick out in your mind phenomenal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you say that these were better than the 90s movie?
No.
Okay. So
No, I wouldn't.
I won't rush out to watch them then.
Because in my opinion, the 90s version of both Twilight Zone and Outer Limits were a little underrated. And that they were a lot better than folks give them credit for. At least, especially in the writing. The Outer Limits stuff, especially, is still very watchable, and I'll sit and watch it. I just sat and rewatched Soylent Green a few months ago. I was incredibly impressed with that because I was bored out of my mind the first time I watched it. But going back and look at it now, it's downright prolific. What a statement about modern society! I'm sitting there going, "Wow, that's really applicable today." On that, that was really amazing. I sat and watched Loki too. Very enjoyable. Nice brain check material. What if? It's nice and brain checky. If you haven't seen the Star Wars Visions series that they just put up, also very impressive, very beautiful stuff. And it's really cool to see artists like that get a free hand.
Yeah,
you know.
I have to be honest with you. It's the most Star Wars thing I've seen out of Disney since Disney took it over.
Really?
I've really enjoyed Mandalorian, and I really like what they've been trying to do, what they were trying to do with it through the second season. That they got snipped because of the Gina Carano mess, and apparently Kennedy was a little upset that Luke Skywalker came in and was actually heroic. But it's fascinating. God forbid. It's really fascinating to me that they might have already shifted the timeline. I can't wait to find out if that's actually going to happen.
Right.
So there's word that Ahsoka has shifted the timeline already, and that 7, 8, and 9 actually don't exist. So it'll be fascinating to see if they pull that off.
Oh, that would be interesting.
If you've never watched Star Wars Rebels, actually worth your time.
Yeah. That does feed into it.
Oh,
just like Clone Wars, actually worth your time, and it's all canon. You sit there and you watch that. Some of it's real kiddish and really just, this is terrible writing, it's really bad. But they more than make up for it with the good ones. The good ones are really, really good.
Rebels is a great show.
Rebels was really good. It all ties back to that temple and Ezra pulling her out of Ahsoka out. He disrupted the timeline.
Yeah.
And apparently there was a scene in the Ahsoka episode in Mandalorian they didn't have enough time with, where the Force ghost of they had Christian Hayden already filmed, where he comes up to Ahsoka and tells her to tell them to put Grogu on that mountaintop and have him call out to the Force. Because that's why if you go and watch that episode, she suddenly changes her mind. She says she's going to train him, and then she goes, "Well, I can't train him. You need to take him there."
Right.
And apparently there's a Force scene of Hayden Christensen, or the kid that played Anakin, that came to her and said, "You've already done so much for us already. Now you need to do this. Tell them to go take him to this mountaintop and call out." And then Luke coming to get him really shifts the timeline.
Gotcha. Have you watched The Bad Batch?
No, I haven't sat through it yet.
Yeah, I have to finish. It's hit or miss. Like it gets good, and then it gets a little childish and weird. I'm like, okay.
It's probably like Rebels. It's got to be better than the other one that they did. I couldn't even.
Yeah, I don't even remember
what it was. Yeah, the one that took place in. Hey, buddy.
Exactly. Look at Carl.
Yeah, the one that they were racing, their speedster racing thing. I watched the first couple of episodes of that. I just could not keep watching. It was terrible.
Yeah. Carlos, your cat is going to become a meme. Watch.
And if you haven't watched the new the last season of Clone Wars, that's available on Disney streaming, Disney Plus, worth your time. Really,
Definitely.
because they go through and they show what Ahsoka was doing during Episode 3.
All right.
It's really good. Really good.
Yes, it is.
Well,
Definitely worth seeing.
Well, I have to go back and watch Rebels because the one thing that I'm still lost on was whatever happened to Rex after they brought him back. That one time.
That cat's got a loud purr. What happened to who?
Rex, the original, one of the original clone troopers from back in the Clone Wars. They brought him back.
Yeah.
And he was not 100% there, but yet he knew enough to deal with the situation that they was dealing with, but they never really resolved what actually truly happened to him after that mission.
I thought Rex was in on Endor. He was in the Battle of Endor.
Mm-hmm. He was one of the rebels.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's the guy with the beard. It's the helmet. If you see it, he's in the actual scenes. It's kind of hilarious how they worked him in.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Wait,
gentlemen,
the original actor they played off of that?
Yeah, well, they obviously
somebody else.
No, they had an actor who played one of the actors. There was like, that's Rex.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
It was one of those afterthought things. Hey, is that Rex?
Right.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So, gentlemen, we came to the end. So here we are. So, all right, let's play the round robin thing. Mr. J, where can they find you and your work?
Right there. You see that name, Jay the Unstoppable, on Instagram. Catch me there. Catch Unstoppable Comics on Instagram or Unstoppable Comics on Facebook.
All right, there you go. Mr. Randy?
Arrow Comics 4.0 on Facebook, Instagram, Linktree, all over. Go there. If you want to talk to me personally, you can find me on Facebook. Don't look for me on Twitter. I do have a page up there, but I don't go up to it often enough to say. You can always find me there or over on the Indie Volt Radio Network, where we do podcasts. Tuesday night at 9 p.m. we do the Livewire podcast. Thursday morning at 9 a.m. we do the Breakfast Buzz, and then Sunday I do a show on my own and whoever else that I can get to talk in front of a camera, called the Sunday Funnies, where we try to talk about the more lighthearted and mostly whimsical side of comics. So we try to put the fun back in funny books. So that's 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Indie Volt Radio Network, YouTube, Indie Volt channel, or on Facebook. Just look around. You're bound to find us.
Nice. Mr. Joe?
You can find me pretty much on Facebook, Instagram, DeviantArt, but mostly you can find me on YouTube as From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. My show is every Saturday evening at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time.
There you go. Mr. Carlos?
All right, you can find me at Facebook. .com/writer Carlos Raphael. Also Facebook.com/Champion Comics Group. You can also find me this next week at Grit City Comic Con in Tacoma, Washington, where I will have American Revere.
Nice.
American Revere, the Joe Correa cover, the Team Supremus #0, and some Power Company from the aforementioned Coalition Comics. So plenty of comic books to pick up at Grit City. And for those of you who backed new Remarkables, be on the lookout for that in the next couple of weeks.
Cool. Nita closes us out. And good night, guys. Great show. Joe D, you got a sad face?
No, that's not sad face. That's an angry face. So now I have to go and watch out for a certain person trying to jump off the top rope to get me now.
This is true. That's right. That's right. And she might have some thumbtacks in your future.
Yeah.
So All right, cool. So my name's JD Calderon. You can find me here. You can find me here. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on DeviantArt. You can also find me on Twitter, all under JD Calderon. So thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Thank you guys all for joining us tonight. and we'll be talking to you all soon. Just remember, just buy and collect indie comics, right? Especially mine. All right. So thank you so much, everybody. Have a great night.